Welcome to the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Speir. So here, we're going to talk about gear, grit, and the kind of stories you only get around a fire. It's all about learning, adapting, and keeping your faith strong. So whether you're a seasoned outdoorsman or just looking to unplug and reconnect, you're in the right place. So pull up a chair by the fire and let's get into it.
We just had a T-bone steak dinner. We just had a whole 1.5 pound potato, some oyster mushrooms, and some onions. And I have with me my good friend Dave. We are kayaking. We're testing out the Vibe Kayaks, and we're going down the river. And we decided to stop over and have a good dinner. But tonight, what we're going to do is take you a little bit different journey than what we normally do. Typically, we talk about the bushcraft stuff. So what I've done is I've prepared several questions. Dave has not heard the questions. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Dave. So where are you from and what do you do and how in the world did you end up here?
Whew, boy. My name's David Smith, and I'm not sure which camera I'm supposed to be looking at.
That one.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, so I've lived in pretty much right here in South Mississippi my whole life. Most of it. Pastor a little church in a beautiful town called McNeil, Mississippi. Blink and you'll miss it. Met up with Chris, goodness, getting close to a year now, huh?
Yeah, if not further.
Yeah, we hit it off pretty quick, got involved in a boys ministry together, and enjoy coming out here and spending time in the outdoors.
Yeah, so we've been coming camping. Last year we came down the same creek in the middle of August of all times.
It was hot.
It was hot. It was miserable. It's about as hot as this fire is right now. But
it was still fun. Yeah.
It was fun. It was good times. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. But it was still miserable. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask a couple of questions. We're going to talk about, hash some stuff out, talk about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then move on to different questions. So, Dave, if you could only bring 3 things on a trip like this, what would they be? If you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A way to start a fire.
Right.
Sure way to start a fire. I probably wouldn't even go with the big lighter. I'd rather go with a ferro rod so that I knew I wouldn't mess it up.
All right.
A metal container to boil water in.
All right.
And a T-bone steak.
A T-bone steak.
I guess does that include shelter and everything? I mean, that's
everything.
just 3 everything.
That's what it is. It's
Other
3
than
things.
just what I was wearing. I guess I would have to have a tarp.
Oh, okay.
To something to make a little shelter.
You can wrap up in a tarp.
Yeah.
You can use a tarp as your shelter. You can use it as to keep the rain off of you. You know, a tarp is way more versatile than people actually think. And people actually they're like, oh, it's just a tarp. No, it's not. It's a shelter.
Yeah.
It could be. You can put that thing close to the fire in such a way to where if it was freezing outside, you'd be sweating on the inside of it. Super shelter.
And even if you don't have cordage,
right,
you can still utilize the tarp. I mean, we usually show videos of hanging the tarp and using the ridge line and the guy lines and all that stuff. But if I still prefer to have a tarp, even if I didn't have that. If I had to make a way to tie it down or stake it with sticks or whatever,
right. So, and being in South Mississippi, there are vines everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can walk up to these vines and they have little runners on them and you can use that. They make great cordage. But the thing with that is they dry out real quick and they become extremely brittle. So.
Did I guess the same 3 that you would have said?
Well,
I've been listening to you for a little while now.
I know. And I was like, wait a second, somebody read my book. Yeah. So definitely I'd have a metal container. I definitely have a ferro rod, and mine would probably be a knife, a ferro rod, and a metal container. simply because, like I demonstrated last November or whatever it was, that you could build a shelter out of leaves and, stuff like that. But, tarp's great to have. Love having a tarp, but I love being able to cut something, sharpen the stick.
That's a really tough one for me, in between tarp and knife.
Yes.
Cutting tool.
Yeah. I look at it this way. What is going to help you make more stuff in the field? And to me, that's going to be a knife. A knife is going to help me make more items. And so, that's just me though. Everybody's different.
Ideally, unless I was just doing it just for the sake of doing it, I would never go out into the field with only 3 things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's why they do TV shows where you go out with 10 things,
Yeah, they don't even get restricted to 3.
Yeah, with 3 things. I guess you could look at it this way too. What would be your top 3 things you would bring? That would be the top 3.
Yeah.
As long as you got a metal container, you can boil your water.
Yeah.
You can have something to drink. You won't have dehydration. You can cook your food. You can use a metal container to make charcoal to start more fires, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and also, hear me out on this. That metal container can boil the bark of a willow tree, and then you can make strong rope out of that. And so, in order to make rope out of bark from a willow tree, you strip it down in 1-inch strips, about a couple 3 feet long, something like that. Boil it with ashes from a fire, and then let it dry out. And then once it dries out, then you just start working it till it turns into little fibers and twisting it. So
there's one more thing you need to know.
What?
Which one's the willow tree?
Oh Lord, we got a lot of work here. There's very different variations. So my next question is, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made on a river trip like this? Or, any kind of trip going down the river? Camping trip, hiking trip, anything like that?
Wow. I don't have a vast knowledge to draw on. I'm not going to say that this has ever bit me, but looking back on trips after I've got home, I've thought, you know what, I would have liked to have known the area better, scouted the maps, known what's north, south, east, and west in case something happens and you got to hike out from the river. Right now, if I didn't have my phone, I wouldn't know which way to go. I don't know which. I know that's west because the sun set over there earlier. But other than that, I don't know which way the closest road is from where I'm at right now. So, that's a mistake. That is
not being prepared.
Yeah, that's a lack of preparedness. If something went dreadfully wrong, then the situation is compounded because I didn't know my stuff before getting there. Yeah.
So my biggest mistake was being on a river in a small boat with a bunch of big boats, and I got flung out of the boat. And so did the gas tank, so did everything except for my young son at the time. And thank God I made him always wear the life jacket. And he had to bring the boat over there to get me. And here I am. I didn't have my life jacket on. And then from that day forward, if you notice, even if I'm in shallow water, I got a life jacket on, because ever since I got thrown out of the boat, that's my biggest mistake of ever boating or coming down the river. So
yeah, those things are important. Now, when we went on our summer trip, if you remember, we didn't wear our life jackets, but 99% of where we were at on this very creek was 6 to 8 inches deep.
Yes.
That's a different. Today, the river's up a good bit higher.
Yeah.
We keep saying river. It's technically creek, but it's a pretty good sized creek.
Yeah.
But
well, it flows into the Pascagoula River.
Yeah.
So it kind of feeds that. But yeah, still though, I always have a life jacket, because you never know what's going to happen. And after that day, I will always wear a life jacket on. anytime I get in a boat.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I did not do it in my pond at my house whenever I did the video on the kayak.
Yeah.
Because I'm at my house.
Yeah.
You know.
And you're within easy swimming distance,
Right.
and you know there's no snags you're going to get smoked
Right.
under. Yeah.
But if I go to the river, the creeks, or anything like that, I always have a life jacket on me. And that's, that leads up to what's next. If you lost all your gear halfway down this trip, what would be the first thing that you made or found? What would be the first thing you'd look for, or the first thing you would make?
The boat.
A boat?
The boat.
The boat?
I want to find the boat. Yeah.
All right. Let's say you go down through here, hit some rapids,
The boat's
fall out,
gone.
you hit your head, and the boat's gone.
Yeah.
What would be?
You lost
and you were
everything.
lost. It lost everything.
Yeah.
What would be the first thing that you do? What would be the first thing that you either make, or the first thing that you either look for? And being here in South Mississippi, I have a couple ideas, and I want to bounce them off of yours and see how yours is going to go.
All right. Well, the first thing that I would do, and I think this is the most important, is stop. Don't panic. Don't run off willy-nilly. Stop and get in a safe place and assess the situation. From there, it depends on, is it cold? Is it hot? Mm-hmm. How wet did you get in the, when the boat crashed in the rapids?
You're soaked.
You're soaked. Mm-hmm. Is it cold? Is it warm?
It's South Mississippi. It's hot.
Okay.
It ain't even warm. It's hot.
That's fine then. Yeah. Well, the first thing I'm going to do then is find a safe place to stay, because I know that somebody knows where I'm at, and eventually when I don't show up there, they're going to come looking.
Right.
So I'd probably try to get a sandbar somewhere that I could be seen, and just chill out there.
It doesn't matter where you go on any rivers nowadays. Somebody is coming down that river.
Yeah,
somebody's going to go
yeah,
fishing
yeah.
sooner or later. So, I mean, you might stay a day, you might stay 2 days or something like that, but eventually you're going to get found.
And here, especially in this time of year, if it's not really cold, it's not the end of the world if you had to sit on the sandbar all night long. You're not going to freeze to death this time of year. Mm-hmm. So if I had absolutely nothing else to do with anything, I would just find a safe sandbar and just stay right there.
So the first thing that I would do was find my boat. Because it ain't going to go too far in the street. Yeah. But there's situations like if you, let's say you were in Alaska doing the whitewater, and some of that stuff up there, or some of the other rapids and other places, Colorado or wherever, you would, if you fell out, your stuff's gone. Yeah. Your boat's gone. It's just you. And then there is totally different. In the summertime, it's still going to be cold. Yep. You can still catch hypothermia, but I'm thinking that, the first thing that I would do was find something to shelter, something to keep me safe from the elements, depending on what it is. Here, it's going to be just get out underneath an oak tree or whatever, to keep the sun from beating down on you. But if it was the wintertime, then you're going to try to keep the wind from blowing on you to keep you from getting hypothermia, try to find a way to start a fire. But one thing that I can tell you here in South Mississippi is that, and this is a shame to an extent, but you will always be able to find cordage and fish hooks in South Mississippi, on a creek, on a river. Yeah. You will always
we passed a trout line.
Yeah.
Coming down today, yeah.
Trout lines, people don't take their trout lines with them.
Yeah.
They don't pick their hooks up or anything like that. So you would always have a way to procure some food if you're in South Mississippi. Technically in South Mississippi, you're not going to get lost. You're not going to stay lost for a long time.
Yeah, not long enough to starve to death. Here. If you stay put.
Some redneck's going to come along. Yeah. He's looking for his catfish or crawfish or alligator or whatever. And so he's going to come along and get you, So what is the scariest moment you've ever had outdoors?
Ooh. Scariest moment outdoors.
The scariest outdoor moment. So I'll go first on this one.
Yeah, give me a minute.
So I was actually deer hunting in central Mississippi in the Delta. And me and my friend Scooter, the guy that we talked about. He's the one, my inspiration for Camp What the Heck. And a great dude. I wish he was still here. He would love this. He would eat this up, man. Yeah. He made his own kayak, dude. I mean, it was amazing. But we get out there and we were deer hunting, and it's bow only. I didn't have a pistol, and you know how notorious I am for not having a flashlight with me whenever we go into the woods. So I always forget my flashlights. And so I get out there and it's get close to dark, and I hear this for like 10 seconds. And I'm like, oh, heck no. I was like, I was fixing to get down, and all I got's a bow. And I was like, dude, that's the biggest hog I ever heard. And, you know, and just the week before I was hunting up there, and I got chased by a group of 20 hogs. I mean, they charged me. So I'm like, no, I ain't getting down right now. And so I sat there and waited, and then I realized I didn't have my flashlight. And I'm like, son of a gun, I got to go. It's time to go. It's getting real dark. And so I go to climb out, and whenever I did again, I hear, and it lasted for like 30 seconds. Every hair on the back of my neck stood up. And so as soon as it quit, I realized what it was. I was hunting in a duck, dried over duck impoundment, right off of a canal. And there was this massive culvert. Well, inside that culvert was a young male alligator, and he was doing his mating call, and it amplified through the woods.
And I'm telling you, 3 times bigger than he was.
I'm telling you right now, it sounded like it was Godzilla walking through the woods or growling. And you talk about the hair on the back of your neck standing up. You know, not many things. Stuff startles me, but not many things scare me. You know?
Yeah.
I'm scared of my wife whenever I do something wrong, but when I get in the outdoors, not many things scare me. I'll get startled for a second. Like one time I was taking pictures of an alligator. I walked up on the alligator nest, and there was all kinds of shells laying there. And I was like, dude, there's a tail. And this tail was bigger around than my thigh. And then all of a sudden it flipped around, and I fell down, and I was like, oh, dear Jesus, I'm coming to see you. It's over with. You know, I done thought Mama Gator had me. She was coming to get me, dude. Yeah. And she turned around and went right back down into the water. And I looked down there, and there must have been, I don't know, 80 to 100 little baby alligators, about 6 to 8 inches long. And I got a picture of it. I put it on Facebook on Speir Images, and I'm telling you right now, that scared me. Yeah. I was scared.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been at least in adult life, I can't think of an occasion where I've been really scared outdoors. Right. But twice as a kid, I found myself lost.
Oh, wow.
And that is pretty scary.
Yeah.
One was when I was way younger, and it's a humorous story now. I had to have been probably 8.
Right.
And was at my cousin's house up in Sandy Hook, Mississippi. And we had gone, me and my cousin, down towards the field. They had some cow fields way back in the back, through some woods. For now, bear in mind, I'm 8, and I'm not familiar with the area at all.
8.
You know,
I don't
my cousin's
remember
from
being
there.
8.
Yeah. We get down there, the cows are in the wrong place or something.
Yeah.
So my cousin says, I got to get these cows, run back to the other field. You run back to the house, tell Daddy, and to come and help. Well, I was like, I don't know which way I'm going. So he gave the best outdoor directions ever given. He said, you see those trees? Just follow those trees. Don't ever follow trees. Trees don't go anywhere. I took off running back towards where I thought I was following the trees, and it wasn't too long. I had no idea where I was at.
Wow.
I had no idea how far I was from anything. Remember, I'm 8 years old. And, of course, I started probably bawling and crying and hollering for help. And eventually, I mean, apparently I wasn't too far from much, because I come around the corner and there was my cousin coming back out from the cow field, and he found me.
I told you.
Yeah. I don't remember how all that played out, but I remember it was terrifying as a little kid.
Right.
To suddenly
Be lost.
I don't have a clue which way to go, and I know that my uncle's house is here somewhere, and I don't know any the rest of it's wilderness. As far as I know. So, that was scary. Another time I was probably 11 or 12, and me and two of my buddies, Russell and Bougie. It was really, as far as I know to this day, that was Bougie's name, was Bougie. And so we hung out on the creek all the time, about a quarter of a mile down in the woods from my house. Went down there one day, and we're just goofing around, and the trail was flooded, so we had to go around the swamp. Coming back out, we lost it somehow. We're just wandering around in the woods, and so we're lost again. And I wasn't as scared that time because I had a couple of guys with me,
right.
But it was still kind of scary, and it got really dark on us. My dad's running through the woods. He went the other way looking for us. Just he took a guess and went the wrong way. And, eventually we just wandered around. Actually, I'll tell you, just straight up, the reason I think I found my way out of there, there was a point where clarity came to me for some reason, even as a little kid. And I realized, hey, the creek's here. I know there's a road that parallels it here. It's probably a half a mile in between the two of them, but we're in the middle somewhere. If we just go away from the creek, we'll eventually get to the road. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. We went that way, and, I'm leading the way because they're both a little bit younger than me, and we found our way out to the road and then walked all the way around the road. Well, I found out later on that my dad was running through the woods. My family wasn't in church at the time. My dad was running through the woods the other way, and he stopped. He said he stopped at a certain point, and he got down on his knees and said, God, please get my son out of this. If you get my son out of this, we will be in church tomorrow. It was Saturdays, and we'll be in church tomorrow morning.
Wow.
And I have no way to prove it, but to me, I think that's the moment that the direction came into my mind, was when my dad prayed. And we were in church the next morning. Sure
wow.
enough. Yep.
So I got a couple of little questions like that I'm going to read here in a minute. That if you had to survive for a week with just a knife and a tarp, could you do it? Now, guys, if you're listening to this, log into the Facebook page, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and answer some of these questions. If you're listening to it, log in, type in and say, yes, I could do it. I could do this, or I could do that. Y'all get in with the conversation too, not just me and Dave, but y'all are invited too.
Yeah. I would confidently say yes, contingent on finding water. And that's not a big challenge in our area. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to find some water. Mm-hmm. And in a week, even if I couldn't find a way to boil it. Another thing you mentioned a while ago, finding trash. Mm. If I was here, you look around, you'll find a bottle, a can,
beer can,
figure out a way to make a reflective magnifier fire or something like that. But even if I know it's a risk, and we're making a week-long scenario. Mm. If somehow I knew at the end of the week it was over, I would drink dirty water before I thirsted to death, before I dehydrated and passed out.
Yes, that's one thing that a lot of people don't. If you get to the point, it takes 7 to, I think it was 7 to 11 days. 7 to 11 or 7 to 14 days, 1 to 2 weeks, something like that, for Giardia to kick in, to give you the diarrhea and all that stuff. And once that kicks in, then that's when it's life-threatening. Yeah. But like you said,
you're probably out by then.
Yes, probably out by then. And you ever seen that TV show Outlast?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's similar to like Alone or one of these survival type shows, but they had one girl on there, and she walked around this entire lake to be with these other people. And when she did, she drank some dirty water. And then a week later, she got sick and she had to leave.
Yeah.
And so, but the whole idea behind it, and that's why you carry a metal container. But with this, so I'm going to be doing a video here soon where I'm trying to find out, can you boil water in a tarp or a paper bag, a plastic bag or something like that. Yeah. So I'm going to figure that out. And so I got a video of that coming up.
I've seen videos of it done.
Really?
Yeah, Ziploc bag.
I've seen Ziploc
in plastic
bags.
bottle.
Yes.
Because the water inside keeps the plastic from melting. Mm-hmm. I know that's still not a great idea. It's better than thirsting to death. You're probably going to get cancer down the road from it.
Well, here's the thing about that is that down the road may never come.
Yeah.
And
you're definitely going to die if you don't drink the water.
You're going to die if you don't drink the water. But people in my comment section say that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's got PFAS or whatever all these things are. And it's like, you're going to die. You're going to have cancer in 50 years. Okay, well, at least I didn't die. And in 50 years from now, I will,
Yeah.
So
a lot of these things, I mean, it's not the best option that you would do in the kitchen, but, out in the woods. And,
a knife and a tarp. A tarp, I've seen it time and time again, can be fashioned. You can make it into a boat.
Yeah.
You can make it into a boat, get down the river until you poke it and then start sinking.
Yeah.
But clear bodies of water, open bodies of water, you can turn the tarp into a boat. All right. So you have a navigation way of navigating one place to another. A knife, you can actually cut down like up to 2-inch diameter trees with a knife, and you just cut it at an angle, tink, 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 all the way around, and then break the tree.
Yeah.
And you can cut a tree. Bad for the knife eventually because it's going to chip the knife or bend the knife or whatever, but it can be done. So a knife is a valuable thing, and I would love, if I was a knife and a tarp, I could stay out here for a week. I mean,
even I tell my kids all the time when they have trouble with what was cooked for supper, you can go 3 weeks without eating before you get in real trouble. So,
you could go. Jesus did 40 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one real good question: is what is one skill you think that everyone thinks they have, but really don't? What is one skill that a lot of people believe they could do, but really don't?
I don't know how many people actually think they can do it, but using sticks to make fire.
Absolutely. Everybody thinks that they can do it in an emergency. It's like, and you hear it all the time. There's like, hey, I'll just rub 2 sticks together and I'll make a fire.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It is not that easy.
No.
That is the best example ever.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm going with your answer.
Yeah.
Guys, I hope y'all
look how long
this.
it took Tom Hanks on that island,
Right. He used the fire plow.
Yeah.
Eventually, the fire plow. And that was a TV show.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I really do. I hope y'all are enjoying this little format that we're doing tonight. We're out here camping, got a fire going right here, and we just sit here asking questions and just enjoying each other's company. And it's like 11 o'clock at night. So I got a couple of questions on a different subject. And I think you already touched on one, was what is one lesson that the outdoors has taught you about God?
How do I say the right word? He sustains.
Oh.
He takes care of, you just look at the world and being in the outdoors. It's an organized system of the trees. Even take these leaves and junk on the ground that's falling, and that's turning back into dirt and fertilizing the trees, which grow up, and then that's a house for the birds and the wildlife and all that stuff, and it all fits together. Creation glorifies God.
Yes, it does.
And when you look at how it all fits together out here, I mean, the human body is another great example. I mean, it screams creator. Even though some people don't realize, the true and living God, but you can't look in nature, in my opinion, and say, wow, this is just some kind of random accident.
Right. Wow. So, one lesson that the outdoors has taught me is that I am not as significant as I like to think that I am. I am not as big and bad as I think that I really am. And I think that can apply to a lot of people in a lot of situations too. When it comes to the outdoors and God, you are but a speck in the grand scheme of things, but you're made in His image.
That's right.
And
you're a very important speck.
You are a very important speck, and He values a relationship with you. So, but when it comes to the great outdoors, and it has taught me that I am not as significant as I really think that I am sometimes. So, when is a time that you felt closest to God out in the wilderness? Have you ever had a time where you felt closer to God outdoors?
Yeah, sure. I tell you, how far in the wilderness do you have to be?
You don't have to be.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like outdoors, and say wilderness, but
this is
just
where it got
go.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the time, and it's just a random thing. So, and given time, I could probably think of more occasions. But I used to drive 18-wheelers, and I was over somewhere in South Louisiana, sitting at a plant, waiting to get a load, wanted to be home, frustrated, but there was a canal right there. It was may have been a river
Right.
that we were sitting right beside. But I just got out of my truck. I got my Bible. I went over there and sat down by that water. There's something about water to me.
Oh, yeah.
And got by that water and sat still and just read some Bible. And man, that's all the elements. I was outside. I wasn't camping. I wasn't doing anything outdoorsy.
Right.
I was I was on the edge of a chemical plant or something, but I found a place, a calm, serene place,
Calm, still
beside
place.
the water. Had the Word with me, and just sat and had some time with God for a minute, and that's just always stuck out to me.
I was I took the boys. No, it wasn't the boys. It was a mentor. We went to a first mentors retreat in North Georgia, and I was walking through the hills, and I can remember sitting at the waterfall. They got this big rock, and I know you've seen it, but I'm describing it for these guys. They got this big rock that overlooks this waterfall, and it's about, what would you say, 60, 80 feet up above, or if not a little taller or whatever. And it's a beautiful picture, and actually that picture actually made it in the book. And I can remember sitting there and praying, and I just felt like I was so close to Him in that moment, and it was all because I was in His creation. And you go back and you think about it to where, when Adam and Eve was here, and God walked with them daily in the evening, in the cool of the evening, and walked with them, and it makes you want to be like, you want that closeness with him, you know. And when you get out there and you're sitting there and you're looking at all nature and all the outdoors and stuff like that, and it happens, oh man, it's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. So do you think that being outdoors changes a man? Why or why not? And this is not necessarily just like a faith, but it's more like a life type question. Like, do you believe that being outdoors, going outdoors all the time, learning new skills outdoors, that it can change you?
Yeah, I do, with the caveat that it's not for everybody. Yeah. I mean, they're you know, people have personalities, and some people are city people, some people are country people like we are.
Right.
And you know, they've got their things that connect them with God and bring them serenity and growth and stuff. But for us, I think it does a lot. For one thing, even though we both got our phones in our pocket and stuff, and we have cell signal here, it's still, you're getting out of the rat race, pulling back from it a little bit, breathing some fresh air with a little smoke in it, and it's grounding.
I like to look, we're breathing some fresh smoke with a little air.
Yeah, sometimes, depending on which way the breeze is blowing.
Right.
Yep.
So we got some, what's the dumbest injury or accident you've ever had outside or in the woods?
All right. On a creek, the same creek that my buddies and I were lost on when I was 10. Years later, me and golly, had to be two other guys in our early 20s, went back there to that same creek to go swimming. And we had a rope swing on a little tree across the creek. Bear in mind, this is still coming from about the same place. It was a good quarter to third of a mile walk back. And so I'm deciding to go up this angled tree to go out to get the rope to pull it back in. Well, about 3/4 of the way up, I fell out. Now I'm about 10 feet in the air, and I landed on a cypress knot that was about 2 inches under the water, right on my tailbone. Pow! Thought I had died right there.
Yes.
So I had to swim across the creek, which thankfully wasn't very wide, lay there in the cold water for a while until I could move again, then walk my way with a severely bruised and probably broken, but I was too embarrassed to go to the doctor, tailbone. Yeah, missed some work and everything. So that was
the everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
By far, that one came right to me.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't have a stupid injury, a silly injury.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is reaching down and grabbing the lid off of a cast iron pot with my hands, you know. Stuff like that, but not nothing with a fancy story like yours. That was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I'll give you a fire one too. I was again, most of the dumb stuff happened to me when I was a kid. Thankfully I got a little smarter when I was older, but so probably there again, 10, 11, 12 years old somewhere. I used to camp in the backyard, a little tent. I camp in the backyard, have a little campfire. I mean, I was like right behind the house, you know, really backyard camping. It was fields back there, so it wasn't a neighborhood, but it was backyard. Anyway, so I had a little fire, and I had a stick, and I had a polyester or something shirt wrapped around this stick, and I was playing in the fire with it. Yeah. Never do that. Well, I noticed, if you ever burnt polyester on a stick, it'll start dripping, and it's burning all the way. That's really cool when you're not.
Now it sounds.
Yeah. So I was shaking it, and the shirt come loose, flipped around. Some of that polyester landed on my arm, and so now it's on my shirt, on fire. What do they tell you if you're on fire when you're a kid?
Stop, drop, and roll.
I jumped. Now, I'm standing on a terrace row that's about 2 feet high. So rather than just drop, I jumped, flew through the air about 3 or 4 feet down on the ground, rolling. That does nothing for polyester on your sleeve burning, by the way, rolling, because finally I'd come to my senses and just patted it out with something and didn't burn myself to pieces. Made the mistake of telling my dad about it. I could have got away with it completely.
Right.
Scot-free.
But you got in trouble.
Well, you know, I got the old...
You learned your lesson, didn't you, boy?
That was, yeah. Son, I thought you were smarter than that.
Huh. A moth to the flame.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's crazy. First time I ever seen that.
Did he fly right in there?
He flew right up to the flame, and then he flew around it, and then he went over to the lights. So, what is the worst camp meal you ever ate?
You know, camp food is always good. Almost no matter what. I don't think I've ever had a really bad one.
I know. I agree with you.
But in the Boy Scouts, we did something, and maybe it was okay then. We took cans. We were told to bring canned food. And I think we were maybe doing a little float trip on the inner tubes or something, or what. I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but we're supposed to bring canned food to eat for lunch. And what we were going to do was take the can most of the way off, bend it back, and then use that as a handle and stick it in the fire.
Right.
Well, you know, I brought corn.
Wow.
I brought a can of corn. And then my friends were actually jealous. They're like, oh, man, I didn't think to bring corn. But, you know, now I realize there's plastic liners in those cans, and that's not a great idea.
No.
Now, this would have been the late 1980s, so maybe they didn't have plastic liners in the cans yet. Yeah. I don't know. But
I've done that so many times, warmed up the daggone cans on the stove or whatever, and it's crazy. So mine is, I'm sitting here trying to think what was the worst. The worst camp food, because I cook pretty good when I go out into the woods.
Yeah, but you have ate armadillo and...
Yes. All right. So actually, all right, well, we'll do that. So I was on this river, and an armadillo walked up in camp, and I dispatched him, and I skinned him out, and I threw him in a pot, and I boiled him down, and I made armadillo stew. And I'm telling you now, it was actually good.
Yeah.
It was delicious. It was not bad at all. And I mean, it's not bad.
Well, I guess that's not a great answer for that question.
I know it's not. I can't think of anything. Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny is because there's no horrible food to me.
Yeah.
You know, to me, there's no horrible food. You know, unless somebody showed up at this camp and did Brussels sprouts on kebabs. I am not eating your Brussels sprouts, dude. It's not going to happen. That's the only food I won't eat.
Really?
Other than that, I'll eat anything that eats me, that tries to eat me, you know. I'm not, So, if you could have any animal as a survival companion, what would it be? That's a stupid question.
That's a stupid question. Okay, but is it just... I need more details there. Is it just a random animal? Is it trained survival animal?
Oh, come on. I can only give you whatever day. If you could have any animal, any is the key word.
All right.
As a survival companion.
Okay, survival companion.
What would it be?
A hawk.
A hawk?
A hawk. I've seen a falconer before.
Yeah, but that was a falcon, not a hawk.
No, it's just hawks. Oh, okay. They call it falconry, but it's hawks. You had Harris hawks and red-tailed hawks.
Right.
And the thing was trained. It would come right back to them. It would fly and catch squirrels and bring them to them.
Really?
I mean, it was, that's what he did with it. He took it squirrel and rabbit hunting.
Wow. With
this hawk. So if I have anything, I can have
I would bring Ranger.
Yeah.
I would never go hungry because I'd eat all the turtles.
Yeah. He's a turtler.
He will find every turtle in the yard. He will find any turtle anywhere. Now, his big thing is I got a catfish pond at the house, and so I've been feeding the catfish. And the catfish come up, stick their heads out, and they're sitting there walking around with their mouth open, gobbling up all these little things. He thinks he's going to get them. So he gets out there and he swims around trying to catch them. He's swimming in circles trying to catch a fish, I need to make a video on that.
He's going to get one day, watch him.
I hope he does. So we're going to move on to a couple more questions and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So if you could leave one piece of advice, hold on, lost my question. If you could leave one piece of advice for your grandkids about living outdoors, what would it be?
I don't guess you can just say do it.
Learn it.
Learn it.
Go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Take a bushcraft course somewhere, take a camping course somewhere, pick up a book or a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So
just get out there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, see, what gets me is back in the day when we were kids, they didn't call them shelters; they were called forts.
Yeah,
I had forts. We built some amazing forts growing up. Well, mine would be to teach my grandkids, since I just had one. I got my first grandbaby. He's 5 months old today, actually. I think tomorrow he'll be 5 months old, and I just give him a copy of my book.
Yeah.
That's cheating. No, me and him's going to have fun, dude.
Yeah.
Me and him's going to learn a lot. He's going to learn a lot. I was actually doing the FaceTime with him a while ago while I was cooking dinner. And I was showing my son the fire. And the grandbaby heard my voice and was like hooping and hollering, laughing, So it's crazy. But grandkids are something else, dude. So what's one thing people get wrong about camping or survival? What's one thing?
I don't know. Can I go back to the previous question just for a second, and then we'll hit that one? Just another thing that I was thinking about, and I am not a Greenpeace tree hugger by any means, but we need to teach the next generations to cherish the outdoors and to take care of it, so that so it'll be. I wish more people would teach their grandkids not to trash the outdoors.
Litter it.
Yeah, don't litter it. Enjoy it. I vote for people that want to protect it. And I know that gets into a whole political spectrum of things, but. I think that was the problem for a long time, was so many people were ingrained in the outdoors in generations before that they didn't think about the destruction that was coming on it. So they weren't teaching our generations coming up, hey, you need to take care of this. But that's something that needs to be passed on.
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit in the book, don't hit on it too much, but you need to cherish what you do have, because it can be taken away from you. You look at it this way: you got wildlife management areas all over the place, especially here in South Mississippi, where they've gone in and they've cut down all the trees. I realize why they're doing it. They're trying to make habitat for other species, non-target animal species. But you got to cherish it. You have to take care of it. And these places, even places like this, when you get out here, pick up your trot lines and your hooks. Pick up your trash. Don't throw your daggum glass bottles. It's a shame that you can't even walk on a river because glass cutting your feet,
So what was the next question?
So the next question was, what's one thing people get wrong about camping or survival?
Well, camping, and I think people learn this pretty quick, they don't consider the difficulty and the discomfort. And so they come out with the idea that you're just going to go out and get a great night's sleep just like you do at home, and everything's going to be No, it's not about that, and that actually turns a lot of people off from camping. Is coming out and they didn't take into consideration how tough it was going to be. Now, for us, that's part of the game. That makes it fun, you know. But that's just not the same for some people. And I think if they just would have the right mindset going in, that, you know, I'm sleeping in a hammock and I'm probably not going to sleep as good as I do at home, but that's okay. It's part of the whole experience.
So for me, this question is, what is one thing that people get wrong about camping or survival? Is you have to practice with your gear.
Yeah.
If you don't practice with your gear, you won't know how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, then it's going to contribute to, like you're saying, you're going to have a miserable time.
Yeah.
If you don't, and I see it time and time again when I'm teaching kids how to use a ferro rod, all right? They'll willy-nilly just strike it, and, you know, it looked like a Roman candle going off, but there's no method or madness to it until you finally show them how to do it. And, you know, if you don't teach, you don't learn how to do some of the things on the outdoors, then you're not going to enjoy it. And we get it all the time in the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft group on Facebook. Is people's like, hey, I'm new here, you know, and post a picture of something and say, hey, what about this? You know, and it's like, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with it. And that's one thing that people get wrong too, is that there's no wrong way to do anything. Short of going into the woods and cutting down every green tree you see, you know, but that goes right back to what you're saying a while ago about respecting nature, respecting the place. But there's no wrong way to do anything. There's an end result, and if you get to the end result, you're good. And there's 14 million. You've heard the phrase. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's 14 million ways to start a fire. There's 14 million ways. I use Blackbeard fire starters. Love them. I also picked up a pack of $2.58 char grill, whatever, and, you know, from a salvage store, and they work just as fine. That's how we started this fire. There's no wrong way to do it. And don't let somebody come in and tell you it has to be done this way, because it does not.
Yep.
It does not. And I see that so much. So, give me the top 3 pieces of gear you wouldn't leave home without. Go.
That would be assuming we're coming outside. Same thing.
Spit it out. Just spit it out. Top 3 pieces of gear.
Cell phone, pocket knife.
We heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Container. Yeah.
Heard it here first. The cell phone, the pocket knife. If I'm coming outside, the 3 things that I want is a knife, a metal container, and a piece of rope. You know, that goes right back to where we were at the beginning. I think you said you wanted shelter. You wanted a tarp.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, seriously though, your phone now it's gear. You know, I mean, we don't always think about it that way, but I mean, it does a lot for us. We have maps, downloaded maps of the creek that we're on. You know, it's always in my pocket. So when you're talking about your top 3, that's pretty much your EDC, your everyday carry, and that's pretty much all what I'm carrying every day is my cell phone, my watch, and my knife. You know,
EDC.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I would highly recommend people, with you saying cell phone, is that the battery is going to go out.
Yeah.
One thing I do recommend is people actually getting a compass and learning how to use the compass. Getting a map, a topographical map, and figuring out how to use the topographical map. And I'll try, if I remember, you know, because I won't start editing this till Thursday or Friday, but if I remember when we get home, to put the link in to this place. I mentioned it in the book. I forget the name of the website. The most thorough and amazing explanation of how to use a compass and a map I've ever seen. And I was in the military, you know, and this place did a jam up job. And so I'll put that link in there.
I'd be interested in seeing that myself.
If I could tell you guys anything, is to get you a compass and a map and learn how to use it. Last question for the night, and we'll be wrapping this up because we've been doing it for 1 hour. What is your dream camping trip?
I would like to do one of those trips in Canada or Alaska where you fly out to a remote lake on a float plane and in a canoe or something. And I don't want to do. It doesn't sound appealing to me
you
to
need
do
to
that.
just team up with Jim and Ted Baird.
No, because actually they do. So I've seen some guys, and they'll do the portages, where they're making. They're going a pathway somewhere. It's a journey, so they're gonna fly up there, and then they can canoe, and then they gotta carry the canoe. Look, I'm just fine. Pick me a good lake, and I'll just set up a camp right there,
Right.
fishing that lake,
And I'll see you in a week when you come back and get me.
Yeah, yeah. Set up a date and come back and get me,
Yes.
and give me great big bare barrels of food and stuff and all the things I need, and that would that'd be my dream camping trip.
So I lived in Alaska, and Mason, my youngest, he was 3 years old, and I took him on his first camping trip. And Logan, he was 8. Yeah, he was 8 years old at the time. And we were driving. I had a 1982 model Ford Ranger 4-wheel drive. And we was driving back through there, and the creek was frozen over, But it was still the springtime, but it was kind of frozen over. And the only problem is that I couldn't see how deep it was.
Yeah.
In Alaska, generally the rivers and creeks are not very deep. They're really not. But so I'm going out through there, and I go, and they said, "Oh man, we drove through it yesterday. It was fine." I said, "Okay." So I get there, and the first thing I do is fall in, and water comes up to the windshield. I'm like, "Oh my God!" And then I just kept on driving, and that's as deep as it got, and I just went right on through it. And then we get out there, but I'm telling you now, that was the best, most memorable camping trip I've ever had. We were camping on a glacier in Alaska, and it was amazing. It was amazing. But my biggest number one thing I want to do is me and my brothers have always wanted to go peacock bass fishing in the Amazon,
South America,
yeah, or B, take the donkeys and ride the pack mules up the top of the mountains and go fly fishing for golden trout or whatever trout. And
Those are epic
we were
trips.
actually going to do that, but the guide, his mom got sick and canceled the trip. We canceled the trip.
Oh.
So we couldn't go do it. But I wish we'd have gone through with that. That was in Colorado. So, but anyway, that's
That
it.
would be epic.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I've enjoyed the fire out of it. What about you, Dave?
No, I'm kidding.
You haven't?
Yeah, this was awesome. Yeah, had a great time.
First time I ever
Good
done
to be a
podcast from a campsite on the river
Absolutely,
on a camping trip.
Thanks for sitting around the fire with me today. If this episode gave you something to think about, if it helped you feel a little bit more prepared, or it even stirred your faith a tiny bit, go ahead and share it with someone else who might need it as well. We don't go camping to run away from life. We come out here to slow down and to recharge. So grab another log, throw it on the fire, and remember this. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I'll see you next time. God bless you.